This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 31st day of August in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Elections returning officer for Region 4 Clermont Mingo was marched before the Chief Justice this morning and slapped with 4 charges of misconduct in public office related to allegations of fraud in the 2020 elections. He was granted bail in the sum of $150,000 on each of the 4 charges, totaling $600,000. The prosecution's case is that during the period of the elections, Mr. Mingo conducted himself improperly while holding office of the returning officer. His attorney Darren Way told reporters that as part of the bail package, Mr. Mingo will have to present himself to the police every Friday and will also have to lodge his passport.
Mr. Mingo was placed on $150,000 each of all 4 charges. So when you tabulate it, you have $600,000 bail. He's also to submit, lodge his passport with the CID headquarters, and he's also to report every Friday at 9 a.m. to Mr. Mitchell Novar Caesar.
Mingo was arrested last Tuesday as the police launched what it called a comprehensive investigation into the allegations of fraud during the 2020 elections. He should have been released from police custody on Saturday when the 72-hour period of him being in custody expired. But the police kept him in custody and filed the charges. 4 other GCOM staffers were also arrested and are facing charges in connection with the same allegations. At least 2 of them were held beyond the 72-hour period, and their attorney has also raised concern about that. Outside the magistrate's court this morning, a large number of persons gathered, including former government ministers. The APNU-AFC nominated members of the Elections Commission were also at the courthouse to observe the proceedings.
They gave there was no apparent reason why Mr. Mingo had to have been detained since last week Thursday until today, because he provided them with no statement, and they said that they thought that there is the possibility that he might interfere with a witness. The magistrate inquired correctly of them, where is the evidence of this? And they had to concede that they had no evidence of any indication that he would interfere with the investigation.
The probe into allegations of electoral fraud was triggered by private criminal charges filed by PPP member Charles Ramson Jr. since March. The Director of Public Prosecutions took over the case just over a week ago and directed the police to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the allegations. Mingo will make his next court appearance at the end of September. And Clermont Mingo wasn't the only GCOM worker in court today. A clerical assistant and an election clerk attached to the Elections Commission have also been charged with fraud related to the same elections. The 2 charges were separate and related to 2 different incidents. In the case of the clerical assistant Enrique Levan, he's facing a charge of unlawfully altering the figures from the statements of poll to defraud the state of Guyana. It is alleged that between the 4th and 5th of March, at the office of the returning officer, Levan allegedly changed the figures from the statements of poll as he was inputting those figures into the tabulation system. He was not required to enter a plea to the indictable charge and was granted bail in the sum of $150,000. In the other case, election clerk Chiffern February is accused of not using figures from the statements of poll as she inputted those figures into the tabulation system during that tabulation process on the 13th of March at the GCOM headquarters in High Street. She is facing 2 fraud charges, one for the general election and the other for the regional election. Ms. February was also not required to enter a plea to the indictable charges, and she was also granted bail in the sum of $150,000 on each charge. Both Levan and February have been ordered to lodge their passports and keep away from witnesses in the case. They will both make their next appearance on the 25th of February. More news coming up in just a moment.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed, and we were right there, standing with you, always near, getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
Spend $3,000 in fuel at Falls Gas Station between August 3rd and September 30th and get a chance to win over 100 weekly prizes, or $3,000 in our recently renovated supermarket and you can win weekly prizes and one of 2 great food hampers in our summer promotion. At Falls, we provide a safe environment for you to shop, and you can choose from a wide range of products at unbeatable prices too, along with excellent service, of course. So shop now at Falls and make this a summer to remember.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
New to online learning? You're probably wondering what it's like. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software with the help of our experienced tutors. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how tech can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Welcome back. The APNU-AFC coalition officially filed its election petition cases this morning against the March 2020 elections. APNU-AFC candidate Senior Counsel Royce Dilford filed the court documents on behalf of the applicants Claudette Thorne and Heston Bostwick. The two won the court to determine the legality of the elections and the results that led to the declaration and the allocation of seats in the National Assembly. Former President and Chairman of the APNU-AFC coalition, David Granger, was among senior coalition officials outside the courthouse as the petitions were being filed. Scores of protesters gathered behind barricades in support of the move.
We have compiled a dossier of anomalies and irregularities, and APNU-AFC coalition is convinced that if due consideration is given to those anomalies and irregularities, it will be shown that the declaration which was issued on the 2nd of August 2020 is incorrect and invalid. So we are set out here today to establish the invalidity of that declaration and to show that if these anomalies and abuses and irregularities are taken into consideration, the outcome will be different. That is our mission, and that is why this petition is being presented today.
Mr. Granger also said the filing of the petitions addresses several issues, including the validity of the electoral process and the declaration.
We have detailed all of the anomalies in all 10 regions, not just District 4, District 1 to 10.
And APNU General Secretary and presumptive leader of the opposition, Joe Harmon, explained that the evidence that has been presented in the petition covers many of the issues and concerns that came to light during the national recount of votes.
The recount itself, the evidence from the recount, which found its way into the report of the Chief Elections Officer in all 10 electoral districts, in particular District 4 on the Lower East Coast, where you had about 49 boxes with over 11,000 ballots stuffed into those boxes without any other statutory documents. I don't know what else you need to show that these elections were fraudulent. But that is just about one incident, and there are several others.
Several lawyers are representing the two applicants in the petitions. With the national recount completed, APNU AFC officials believe the petitions should take less time to be heard and determined, since recounts are one of the main features in a petition. Just last week, the APNU AFC wrote to the United Nations and several other international agencies about the elections and the outcome. Well, protests in a number of West Coast Berbice villages continue today, with more roads being blocked as some were being cleared. This morning, more members of the riot squad of the Guyana Police Force were dispatched to the villages, including Belladrum, where the protest started on Sunday. During a standoff with protesters this morning, as attempts were being made to clear the roads, the police fired rubber bullets to clear the area. A protester was injured to the chest with a number of wounds from the rubber bullets. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. At least one police officer was also injured as angry protesters lobbied pieces of wood and bottles in the direction of the riot squad. The protest started on Sunday as villagers demanded the release of returning Officer Clement Mingo from police custody. He was granted bail today and released after being charged for misconduct in public office. Mingo is from the West Berbice area. Villagers believe he has been treated unfairly by the police after he was held in police custody without bail for 5 days. Meanwhile, the Guyana Police Force is not pleased with the protests and has indicated that it will continue to use lawful means to disperse the gatherings and clear the roadways. In a statement today, the police force said while it recognizes the constitutional rights of citizens to peaceful protests, when such protests denigrate into a series of unlawful activities, the force would have to take necessary action. The force also said it has been making diligent efforts in the maintenance of public safety and the movement of traffic, which has been impeded for several hours throughout the West Berbice communities because of the protests and blockages to the roadways. The police force said it will remain persistent in the maintenance of law and order and public safety and security in keeping with its role. In a statement to the government's Department of Public Information, Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben today called the protests unnecessary and unfortunate. He said he recognizes the right of citizens to protest, but he believes the protests should be peaceful.
I want to ask those persons who are involved in the protest to return to peaceful protests if they feel that protesting is necessary, not to block the public roads, not to inconvenience people, not to attack the police, not to bring it to a situation where the police have to resort to tear gas or the firing of pellets. This is what we want. We don't want people injured. We don't want people inconvenienced. People have a right to protest, but it must be done in a lawful way, and it should not inconvenience the public.
Back in March of this year, similar protests broke out at Luzicnan on the east coast of Demerara and at Bath Settlement in West Berbice. Those protests, however, were against allegations of electoral fraud. A number of policemen were badly injured in Bath Settlement, and the protester was shot dead while he attacked a policeman with a cutlass. That was a few months ago. The announcement today by the Ministry of Health that 2 persons who recently passed away had tested positive for coronavirus has taken the total number of deaths for the month of August to 21 as the month came to an end. The total number of COVID-19 related deaths in the country now stands at 41. 20 deaths were recorded between March and July, with the other 21 recorded in this past month. Within the past 48 hours, the death toll climbed by 6. The 2 deaths that were recorded today are from regions 9 and 7. The 3 patients who passed away on Sunday were all women, with the youngest being 31 years old. Meanwhile, 72 new COVID-19 cases have been recorded, taking the total number of active cases to 538, with 451 of those persons who are COVID-19 positive being allowed to isolate at home. Additionally, the number of recoveries has increased to 718. The Ministry of Health has indicated that it is still facing a backlog of tests. 500 samples are to be sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency in Trinidad for testing. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, today said they are moving ahead with the use of the Infectious Diseases Hospital to isolate COVID-19 patients.
We are going to be using 2 sections of the facility. On the eastern side, the lower flat, we'll have persons who are in transition. So these are persons who are suspected perhaps to have COVID, but we're not certain. They would be awaiting their test results. But in the meantime, we'll be putting them in this facility where they can be adequately quarantined, so to speak, because each one of them would have their own room, they would have their own bathroom and toilet, and they would be separated, so there would be no chance of any infection or contamination. So that's one section, and then on the upper floor, we have already made that section ready to have persons who have tested positive, and so those persons would be there.
Guyana has seen more than 800 new cases of COVID-19 in the past 4 weeks. The updated national COVID-19 emergency measures have been extended to the 30th of September, with most of the previous measures remaining in place. However, the curfew, which was being relaxed over the past month, will now return to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. as the coronavirus numbers in the country continue to climb. Additionally, it is now mandatory for persons to wear a face mask covering their mouth and nose while out in the public. Failure to do so could result in a criminal charge. Guyana has recorded more than 750 cases of coronavirus in the past month, and with a number of outstanding test results, officials believe the increasing numbers will continue. With the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew back in place from the previous 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., restaurants will have to wrap up their outside dining and takeaway and delivery services by 5 p.m. Bars and nightclubs and gyms and pools are to remain closed. Religious organizations will be allowed to continue hosting gatherings, but not with more than 25% of the capacity of the building. The phased reopening of Guyana's international airports has been delayed again as the government has extended the national measures to combat the spread of coronavirus. The airports will now remain closed until the end of September. There was a plan for a reopening in early September. Today, the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority indicated that while the airports will remain closed to regularly scheduled services, repatriation and other special flights will be allowed. Eastern Airlines is expected to operate a number of repatriation flights to and from the U.S. in the month of September. Caribbean Airlines will operate a flight from Trinidad and Tobago on the 9th of September. Guyana's international airports at Temeri and Ogle have been closed since March, with only repatriation and other special flights, including cargo flights, being allowed. There have been more than 15 repatriation flights in the past month, bringing home hundreds of Guyanese nationals. The airline industry continues to feel the squeeze from the pandemic globally, with several airports still closed and some airlines being forced to lay off thousands of workers. Guyana continues to see the steady increase in the COVID-19 numbers and deaths. Military matters to report now. Over the weekend, President Irfan Ali approved the promotions of 5 senior officers of the Guyana Defense Force. And those promotions could lead to a shake-up in the top brass of the GDF. The officers took their oath of office today.
These promotions are long overdue. They are necessary to strengthen the leadership of the Guyana Defense Force. The elevation of these officers manifests the Defense Board's intention to ensure the force is continuously manned by a team of professionals and highly motivated officers. I congratulate Brigadier Gary Beaton on his appointment. His promotion is duly deserved. I commend him for his outstanding and committed service. His service is worthy of emulation. His elevation to the rank of brigadier should serve as incentive to others to strive for greater professionalism and excellence in the discharge of their duties. I also extend congratulations to the newly appointed colonels. Their promotions are meritorious and overdue. I charge these 5 officers to give their full support to the Acting Chief of Staff, Brigadier Godfrey Best, who retains my confidence. Other promotions will follow in the future.
Heading the list of promotions is Colonel Gary Beaton, who has now been promoted to substantive brigadier. His promotion to the rank of brigadier took effect from the 28th of August. However, the promotions of Lieutenant Colonels Ronald Hercules, Julius Skeet, and Omar Khan to the substantive position of colonel is retroactive to the 1st of January 2018. Additionally, the promotion of Lieutenant Colonel Ken Lloyd Roberts to the position of colonel is retroactive to the 1st of January 2019. The retroactive appointments would mean that those who would have been promoted after those retroactive dates will now fall under the retroactive appointees, according to the GDF sources. In addition to the promotions, Brigadier Gary Beaton along with Colonels Ronald Hercules, Omar Khan, and Ken Lloyd Roberts have all been awarded the Military Service Medal. Brigadier Beaton will now be posted to the Defense Headquarters, Government of Guyana, in the area of Projects Engineer, while Colonel Ronald Hercules will now serve as the head of the Defense Secretariat in the Office of the President. Colonel Omar Khan will be serving as the Director of the National Intelligence Center. The substantive Chief of Staff of the GDF, Brigadier Patrick West, will remain on his pre-retirement leave until March, when he will officially bid farewell to the military. The Acting Chief of Staff, Brigadier Godfrey Best, is not guaranteed the top military position when the substantive chief leaves. There could be additional promotions at that time to create a new top brass. Some sad news for the prison service this evening. A chief prison officer became the country's latest road fatality after being involved in a smash-up on Homestretch Avenue. Dead is 38-year-old Prince Cox of Nabacalus, East Coast, Demerara. According to a police statement, the chief prison officer was a passenger in a car being driven by a prison officer when the accident occurred. The car with the prison officers reportedly overtook several vehicles along the roadway and slammed into an SUV that was being driven in the opposite direction. The impact of the accident resulted in the occupants of both vehicles receiving several injuries about their bodies. They were taken to the Georgetown Hospital, where the chief prison officer was declared dead on arrival, and the other 2 persons who were injured have been admitted with serious injuries. A full investigation is underway tonight. Across the region is coming up next. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
New to online learning? You're probably wondering what it's like. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software with the help of our experienced tutors. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how tech can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Spend $3,000 in fuel at Falls Gas Station between August 3rd and September 30th and get a chance to win over 100 weekly prizes, or $3,000 in our recently renovated supermarket and you can win weekly prizes and one of 2 great food hampers in our summer promotion. At Falls, we provide a safe environment for you to shop, and you can choose from a wide range of products at unbeatable prices too, along with excellent service, of course. So shop now at Falls and make this a summer to remember.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
They've made a positive impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, the authorities in Cuba announced that new measures will be implemented to curb the spread of COVID-19 across the island. The decision was made following reports of more cases in some provinces in East Central Cuba last week. In response to the report, the Prime Minister of Cuba called on the health authorities to work quickly to identify the COVID-19 contagion chains and prevent the spread of the disease in the country. With the objective of eliminating the virus, Havana authorities announced a package of measures that reinforces the fight against coronavirus in the most affected territory. Among the provisions to come into force from tomorrow are the mobility of people, which will be restricted from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. There are also provisions to cover state and private transportation, and trips between provinces will be suspended. Haiti has increased the death toll from the passage of Tropical Storm Laura last weekend to 31 and said that 8 persons were still missing and presumed dead. The Ministry of the Interior and the Economic and Social Assistance Fund have been providing urgent assistance, including mattresses, materials for repairing homes, as well as food kits to more than 800 families across the country. Earlier last week, the Directorate of the Civil Protection Program had put the death toll at 20, with at least 5 others missing. And finally tonight, international news. The United States has now surpassed 6 million cases of COVID-19, almost a quarter of the world's total. That's according to America's Johns Hopkins University. The BBC reports that the university said the country added 1 million new infections in less than a month. More than 183,000 people have now died from coronavirus in the United States. In the UK, France, and Spain, the infection rate dropped compared with Sunday's figures, but the tallies may be readjusted later on. It comes as children across Europe prepare to return to schools this week. Global infection cases have now surpassed 25 million, with more than 846,000 COVID-19 related deaths. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.